Hafidades and Menagov Talawani. The Committee on Rules hereby calls this meeting to order. For the record, today is Wednesday, April 13th, and the time is now 3:06 p.m. Committee on Rules Director, Ms. Mary Maravilla, can you please take roll?
Chairperson Vice Speaker Barnes.
Geigia.
Vice Chair Shelton. Speaker Terlahi. Senator Nelson. Senator San Augustine. Senator Rangel. Senator Terlahi. Senator Perez. Senator Blas. Senator Torres. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Executive Director Maravilla. Does the chair hear a motion to excuse members not present?
So moved.
Okay, it has been moved by Senator Terlahi, Pito Terlahi, and seconded by Legislative Secretary and Vice Chair Senator Shelton to excuse members not present. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the Committee on Rules minutes from March 16, 2022, which can be found on the Google Drive folder for this meeting titled 01 Meeting Minutes?
So moved, Madam Chair.
It has been moved by Vice Chair Legislative Secretary Shelton and seconded by Senator Sabina Perez to ratify the Committee on Rules meeting minutes from March 16, 2022. Are there any objections?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
subject to any administrative correction that needs to be made.
Say that again.
That'll be the amendment, subject to any administrative correction that needs to be made.
Subject to any corrections? Are there any objections?
No objection.
Hearing none, motion carries. The first item on the Committee on Rules business is an update on the document tracking. I will now have Legislative Secretary Vice Chair Senator Shelton provide her report, which can be found on the Google Drive for this meeting titled 02 Legislative Secretary Report. Consigue muna, por favor.
Situas Masi, Madam Chair, Hafide, colleagues, the Legislative Secretary report to date is as follows. There are 108 appointments submitted by Governor Leon Guerrero, 1 appointment confirmed during the February 2021 session, 14 appointments confirmed during the March session, 8 appointments during the April session, 7 appointments during the May session, 7 appointments during the July session, 13 appointments during the August session, 10 appointments during the September session, 3 appointments during the October session, 12 appointments during the December session, 10 appointments confirmed during the January 2022 session, 8 appointments confirmed during the February 2022 session, 1 appointment confirmed during the March 2022 session. That's a total of 94 appointments confirmed. And of the remaining 14 appointments, there are some pending confirmation, 4 withdrawals, and 2 have extended beyond their 90-day term limit. There are 23 zone change requests at this time. And I will get back to you on the rules and regulations because I misplaced it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Legislative Secretary and Vice Chair on this Committee on Rules. Thank you very much for that report. Next item on the business is the ratification of referrals. The referrals of bills and appointments are indicated each of the corresponding logs, which can be found on the Google Drive folder for the meeting titled 03 Item Logs. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referrals for bill numbers 268-36 COR through 275-36 COR and 277-36 COR through 291-LS?
So moved.
So moved. Second. It has been moved by
If I could discuss.
Senator Terlahi.
Yes, I have No objection to the referrals, other than what I put to you in writing, but I would like to just make a note that we need, in order to hear these bills that are being referred to our committee, which are happy to do, we need also to have public hearing room reservations. So I'm just going to make a very respectful request to the Committee on Rules to please review that schedule for the months of May and June, because we know that July and August are going to be taken up with budget for sure, and that every other, matter will be put on hold. So for May and June, and if we are going to continue to have session in May and June, I would like to have the opportunity to have hearings during May and June.
Speaker, thank you very much. So duly noted, hoping that we can, when we get to that part on open discussion, that I'll give you the floor to talk about it then. So again,
Well, Speaker, just,
On the
I brought it up at this point because it affects the referrals, and I've been, analyzing the referrals to committees, and so there are some committees that have, more bills than other committees requiring hearings. And so, yeah, for example, of course, the Appropriations Committee has the most referrals.
Yeah.
They have 52 bills still waiting for hearings. My committee has 20 bills waiting for hearings, and then the rest have 6, 4, 4, 2, 1, or none.
right,
And so that's all. I just want to have an allocation in order to conduct this business.
So duly noted.
Together with the referrals,
Duly
yeah.
noted, Madam Speaker. So on the referral on the motion as proffered by Senator Pito Terlai and seconded by Legislative Secretary and Vice Chair Senator Amanda Shelton, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referrals of appointments?
So moved.
It has been moved by Legislative Vice Chair Shelton and seconded by Senator Joe San Augustine to ratify the referrals of executive appointments. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referrals of resolution?
So moved.
It has been moved by Legislative Secretary and Vice Chair Senator Shelton and seconded by Senator Joe San Augustine to ratify the referrals of resolutions. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Colleagues, we will move right on into the consideration of items eligible for the placement on session agenda. Members, the committee reports for the following items have been duly filed and have met the Committee on Rules report deadlines on April 7th, 2022. And at this time, I will recognize the Vice Chair, Legislative Secretary Shelton.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I move to place Bill number 197-36, introduced by Senator Joe S. San Augustine, Amanda L. Shelton, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Jose Pito Terlahi, Frank F. Blas Jr., James C. Moylan, Clinton E. Rogel, Talina Cruz Nelson, an act to appropriate $10 million from the 2021 earned.
Madam Secretary, that's been amended.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Submitted.
As amended?
Bill 197-36 as amended, an act to appropriate $10 million from the 2021 earned income tax reimbursement to the University of Guam for the purpose of providing additional financial support toward the construction of the Student Services Center and School of Engineering buildings. To the session agenda. Thank you very much.
Is there a second?
There must be something wrong with the title.
Madam Chair, it is an act to appropriate $5 million from the general fund to the University of Guam for the purpose of providing the additional financial support towards the construction of the Student Service Center and the School of Engineering. It was amended in my
Yes,
committee.
it was an amended.
To
by
5, from 10 to 5,
Yes, as amended.
as amended. And
As
that's why
amended.
I just wanted to
I know, so
clear.
she's reading the title, so it works accordingly too, so.
But what was-
duly noted,
But what was submitted by the committee went down to 5,
it
not 10
went to
no more.
5, so on that motion.
And does the title, was it also changed? The earned income tax credit portion?
Yeah, no, all of that was all changed. That's why.
See, I think we're reading the wrong title.
I'm going to take a moment's recess.
Okay. Here,
Okay.
The Committee on Rules is back from recess. Legislative Secretary Vice Chair Shelton, you are recognized.
Thank you for the recess, Madam Chair. To clarify, Bill number 197 was amended and then further amended by the committee, and so now I will read the newest title that has been submitted and cleared by the Committee on Rules. That's Bill number 197-36 COR as amended and further amended by the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, an act to appropriate $5 million from the general fund to the University of Guam for the purpose of providing additional financial support for the construction of the Student Services Center in the School of Engineering buildings, to add to the session agenda.
second.
The motion was made by Secretary Vice Chair Shelton and seconded by Senator Joseph Augustine. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Vice Chair, Senator Shelton, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. That's all I have. I do have a list of potential items to place. Would you like to take them now or at the end? Excuse me, I'd like to place onto the session agenda. This has been submitted to the Committee on Rules
And cleared.
and cleared. This is resolution number 300-36LS, introduced by Tina Rose Muña Barnes and Frank Blas Jr., relative to supporting the Republic of China Taiwan's participation as observer at the World Health Organization's 75th World Health Assembly, and to reaffirm support for the Republic of China Taiwan's participation as observer in international organizations. On to the session agenda, Madam Chair.
Is there a second? There's a
Second.
motion by Legislative Secretary Vice Chair Shelton and seconded by Senator Frank Blas Jr. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Legislative Secretary Vice Chair Shelton, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd also like to place on the session agenda Bill number 246-36 COR as amended from the Committee on Public Accountability, Human Resources, the Guam Buildup, Pagania Revitalization, Regional Affairs, Public Libraries, Telecommunications, and Technology. From the, as amended, from the Committee on Rules by request of Imega Hagen Guahan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with Organic Act of Guam and 21 GCA Chapter 79, an act to approve the Hagutnya Restoration and Redevelopment Plan and its supporting documents. On to the session agenda.
Says Legislative Secretary Vice Chair, I think there was, that is, the documentation, the committee report has been received.
That's
but it's-
correct, Madam Chair. The committee
So
report
potential-
has been received and it's pending review by CORE, so this has not been completely cleared yet, but it is an item for potential placement on the agenda.
Duly noted. Anything else, Madam Vice Chair?
Yes, also, a committee report has been, will be filed very soon, and this is for the board appointment of Francisco T. Guerrero, member of the Civil Service Commission for a term of 6 years, beginning October 1st, 2021 to September 20th, 2027, to fill the seat of Amelia F. Rice, whose term has expired, and that will be submitted shortly, so that is a potential item to place.
Duly
And-
noted.
Thank you. And then 2 bills to potentially be placed. These are also time sensitive. They will be heard on Monday evening, and the committee report will be submitted right away. This is Bill number 286-36, introduced by Senators Talina Cruz Nelson, Amanda L. Shelton, Mary Camacho Torres, an act to amend Section 715(1) and 13 of Chapter 7, Title 1, Guam Code Annotated, relative to exempting Guam's public schools from the requirement of 180 instructional days, or its equivalent of 900 instructional hours for school years 2020 to 2021 and 2021 to 2022. And then also Bill number 287-36, introduced by Talina Cruz Nelson, Amanda L. Shelton, and Mary Camacho Torres, an act to add a new section 4124B2 to Chapter 4 of Title 17 Guam Code Annotated, relative to creating an exemption from the service learning graduation requirement for all high school students enrolled during school year 2021 to 2022. Those are potential items to be placed on the session agenda. And Madam Chair, I'd just like to make a note for the record. An earlier item, I mentioned Bill number 246-36, the approval of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Plan and its supporting documents. That is also time sensitive.
Duly noted, Madam Vice Chair, Legislative Secretary. Anything else? Yeah. Speaker Therese Chilari, I'll recognize you at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have two potential items. One is Bill number 261-36LS, an act to repeal Article 4 and Article 5, both of Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated, relative to eliminating liquid fuels tax if it's reported out of committee, with amendments, hopefully. And also Bill number 12-36 COR, which was introduced by Joseph Augustine, an act to amend sections 7.111 and 7.112 of Article 5 and 7.86B2A of Article 4, all of Chapter 7, Title 9, Guam Code Annotated, relative to expanding the Castle Doctrine justification for acts of self-defense and eliminating the requirement of retreating before the use of force in the face of imminent danger. My staff informs me this is almost ready to route, and then if that can be cleared, that's a potential item.
Duly noted, Madam Speaker. Is there anything else? Any appointments?
No, thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Senator San Augustine.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I only have one bill that our committee went through, and it's already on your list, and that's Bill 258-36LS, as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriations, Housing, introduced by Senator Frank Blas, co-sponsored by Senator Tello Taiwi. An act to amend Section 26203 of Article 2, Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated, relative to including the Homeowners Association as part of the Authorized Corporation Association or societies exempted from business privilege tax.
Is there a second? There is a second by Senator Frank Blas Jr. on Bill 258-36LS, as proffered by Senator San Augustine. Are there any objections? Hearing none, seeing none. Motion carries. Senator San Augustine, any appointments? Senator Sabina Paris, I will recognize you at this time.
Tzaduz Masi, Madam Chair. I have three potentials. The first one is Bill 245-36LS, as amended. It's an act to amend Section 54B103B of Chapter 54B, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to extending the effective date of the paper bag ban for retail and wholesale establishments to January 1st, 2023. So, yeah, there's going to be an amendment to that.
Duly noted.
So that's on the potential list. The second item is Bill 266-36 COR as amended. It's an act to add a new section 14104P to Article 1, Chapter 14, Division 1, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to authorizing Guam Waterworks Authority to facilitate repairs on private property. 266-36.
266-36 LS or
COR.
COR. Duly noted on that. Any appointments?
One more item.
On a
is
potential?
Potential list, yes. It's Bill number 267-36 COR as amended. It's an act to amend Section 13103 and Section 13104A-B, all of Chapter 13, Division 1, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, and to amend Section 2121, Article 1, Chapter 2 of Title 28 Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations relative to establishing a fair process for resolving public utility ratepayer disputes as a potential item.
Duly noted, Senator Paris. Any appointments, ma'am?
That concludes my.
That's it? Senator Pito Terlahi. On that, I will note for the record, Mr. Chair, that the nomination on the appointment is still on the agenda. It's
under
still on the
motions.
agenda, and it will be included on this session agenda. It is already on. It will be on. Is there anything else, sir? That's it? Okay. Senator Clint? Juan?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we just confirm, so Bill 197-36 regarding...
197?
197 regarding the 5 million from the general fund, it's an amended bill. I don't think that's been cleared yet, so that's a potential item.
No. That's been cleared.
Yeah.
It's, the second amended version is still being looked through, so it will also be noted. And I know that the Committee on Rules is looking into it. Thank you, Speaker, for the record. Senator Frank Blas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, on behalf of Senator Talataligui, I'd like to ask for consideration of a bill to be placed on session agenda, provided that it's met all the requirements, committee, and rules. It's Bill number 249-36 COR as amended by the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriation, and Housing by Senator Talataligui, Teresa Mtalai, Sabina Flores Paris, and Joanne Brown as an act to amend Section 1D of Chapter 5, Public Law 36-54, relative to prioritizing veteran services by exempting the Guam Office of Veterans Affairs from the Bureau of Budget and Management Research's Allotment, Release Control, and Appropriation Reserve Authority, and by authorizing the Guam Office of Veterans Affairs to utilize the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the agency pursuant to Public Law 35-99. It has not cleared, in as far as the committee report or for committee on rules, but just in case, we want to be able to ask for consideration to be placed on the agenda.
Thank you. Duly noted, Senator Blas. I don't think that committee report was submitted yet.
Understood.
But if it is, and if it gets cleared, then it would be a potential, so duly noted.
Understood.
Anything else?
And then I would request for consideration, and as far as all those items for consideration, but I'll make that as an extension of remarks, ma'am.
I do apologize,
I
Senator
will
Blas.
make a request with regard to how we handle all those bills that are on for consideration, but I will make that request in the extension of remarks, or do you want me to make that now?
You can make that now, sir.
Okay, with regards to all the bills that we're going to consider, recognizing that there is a public notice requirement, but also the requirement for the public to be able to access the reports for at least 5 days prior to it being heard, that we adhere to that policy, to that rule.
Duly noted, sir. Yes, it is.
No.
It will. We're going to take a moment's recess just to make the clarification. The Committee on Rules is back from recess. Thank you, Senator Blas, for your note, for your message, and it's duly noted.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I think Senator Rigel, if you could review, we didn't place yet Maximo Ronquillo.
Senator Rajal, I recognize you at this time. Thank you, Senator Blas. Senator Rajal?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Rajal, you recognize.
I move to place on the session agenda the nomination from the Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, and the Arts, the nomination of Maximo P. Ronquillo Jr. to serve as a member of the Guam Council of the Arts and Humanities Agency Board of Directors with the recommendation to do confirm.
There's been a motion as proffered by Senator Rajal on the nomination of Maximo Ronquillo and seconded by Senator Joe San Agustin. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Is there any others? Just want to make sure we get everything. Thank you very much, Senator Rajel. A draft session agenda has been provided to each of you, which can be found in the Google Drive folder for this meeting titled 04 Draft Agendas. The bills and resolutions are in second reading, and the appointments under legislative concurrences. So at this time, with the placement of these bills and resolutions in the second reading file and this appointment under the legislative concurrence, is there a motion to adopt the session agenda? So moved. So moved and seconded. So moved by Senator Jose Pito Terlay and seconded by Senator Clint Rajal. Are there any objections?
If I could amend, just to ensure that we add on, under motions, that we will have potential items and the list
Yes.
is attached. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Right now, colleagues, we are on item number 6, extension of remarks. I will yield to Speaker Therese Terlay. Did you want to add to that?
No, just to reiterate, yeah, so we are trying to prioritize budget, of course, and we're going to prioritize the entire month of August for budget session, probably July, if we can get it out earlier, or July for last-minute hearings that we need for budget. However, any other matters that we're trying to, take care of before that, we need to do in May and June sessions. And so in order to do that, we need public hearing dates in May and June and April. So, but the new calendar that's come out has pretty much reserved all of the public hearing dates for budget hearings, which is understandable, but I'm just saying if we could please take a look at it. For one, my committee has no public hearings except for one afternoon in 2 months, and that will be 4 months if we use the other 2 months for budget. And that, I think, is not acceptable. We still have several bills that require public hearings. And I would like to conduct these as much as possible in the daytime. We do accommodate evening schedules for when we have stakeholders that request that, particularly the doctors request that, and things like that. But when we are calling in the agencies, it's very hard for them to work all day and then have to come in the evenings for these public hearings. So I just, like to ask that the Committee on Rules review that together with OFB, and of course, that we at least allow the committees, to have some set days for them. But I want to thank you for offering some accommodations in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, duly noted. Senator San Agustin, I will recognize you at this time.
Madam Chair, on the reference to the calendar, each of the oversight committee chairs, you have it in your WhatsApp right now. Take a look at it and just keep in mind the agencies that are scheduled If it's your agency, then ask yourself the question, do you want to move your agency's hearing to another date? And work it, let your staff work that with my staff, and we'll accommodate everyone. But just understand, it's the budget. The budget impacts everyone. And the budget is very time consuming. We also have dates that are scheduled where we meet with the agency before the budget hearing. And every chair has been invited to all those meetings. And if you want to move it, look at the calendar and recommend, and we will assist any oversight and where we need to move it. Just keep in mind, when we move it, if something was to happen later on during the year, and we can't get to your agency because something happened, no, knock on wood, nothing happens. We're not going to be able to get to it. We're going to go to the floor with whatever budget we have already brought up with, and we deal with it. But we'll work with everyone, and to include even the committee members that are on the Republican side. They all participate in all the events we have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator San Augustine. I will yield back to Speaker. You had your hand raised.
Yes, I have another announcement, just that we will be, if we're still in session, we will be going into Committee of the Whole on Friday, April 29th at 10 a.m. for the State of Judiciary address. Otherwise, I will have to call another session. But the plan is that we will still be in session at that time, and so that morning we will go for the State of the Judiciary address will be held. I also want, that's a kickoff for the Law Month, right?
So, Madam Speaker, if I may, just for record purposes, we will be currently in regular session,
Yes.
and because of the island address, we will recess and go into
Committee of the Whole.
The
Correct.
Committee
That's
of
what
the
I
Whole.
said, Committee of the Whole, yes.
Right.
So I'm also, yeah, so the governor and the State of the Island address by the governor and the State of, the Congress address by the congressman, they've also been invited since February to address our body. I've been following up and recently urged them to set dates at the end of April, or no later than that, because we want to schedule these. We have a very tight schedule.
Yes.
And we still, are lacking dates for even hearings, and so we're trying to accommodate everyone. And of course, I've asked them to have it as early as possible. I'm trying to get them in April, no later than May, so that we, don't get them down to the wire in the right before elections. I'm trying to avoid that we're trying to put it later. So I'm trying to urge them to have these earlier to avoid the elections, to have them up front. And I think we need this information as we consider the budget and as we consider, the rest of our agenda items too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker Terlahi.
Madam Chair?
Senator Blas,
Along those lines, Madam Chair, has this body received any word about the state of the island address from the executive branch?
for the executive branch?
Yeah?
No, that's what I'm saying. We've invited them, we've been trying to set a date, but they have not set a date, neither has the congressman, so we're still waiting for both of them to confirm a date for their present addresses to the legislature. Right now, none has, and I've even asked them to please set this prior to the end of April so that, we can calendar. We really have to readjust our calendars, even the way they look today, in order to accommodate these things. So it's very imperative, and I'm trying to avoid having them late in election season.
Yep. So thank you very much, Speaker Talai. Your note, Senator Blas, yes, as you know, of course, we also need to abide by the rules of the 5-day notice. So for all the addresses that are there. So duly noted, and thank you for bringing the update. Anybody else wishing to do any extension of remarks?
Just
Senator
for
Blas.
a matter of clarification, so there has not been any, we sent the request, but there has not been any date.
That is correct.
For the executive branch to provide their address to this body.
That is correct.
And we're going to move forward on the appropriations, on the budget bill. Okay.
That's exactly why I'm saying it's very important that these addresses be made before we consider the budget.
Thank you, Speaker Terlahi, and thank you, Senator Blas. Anybody else? I hear a motion to adjourn by Senator Joseph Augustine and seconded by Senator Blas. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. It's now 3:43 p.m. We are adjourned. The Committee on Rules is adjourned. Thank you.